Hare Krishna. Welcome to our channel. Bhagavad-gita, here it is. Because we have it. Bhagavad-gita as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My name is Labangalatika. We are nearing the end of the 12th chapter, Devotional Service. So today we're going to start with reading text 18 and 19.
Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang.
So, today we are here with the 12th chapters, and Krishna has been describing the qualities of his devotees. And it's kind of interesting because, of course, different cultures, different times, we look up to, we have different ideals. We have different ideas of what it means to be a good person and what is desirable and what's not desirable. There's this really funny theory that says greed is good, because if people hadn't been greedy, if humans hadn't been greedy, we would not have developed society as splendidly as we have done. Of course, now looking back, we may notice that we could have done better. Greed mostly is a problem, really mostly is a problem. So here we will hear other qualities, and I will read the Sanskrit first. Samasatrau cha mitre cha tatha mana pamanayoho shitoshna sukha dukkeshu samasanga vivarditaha tulyaninda stutir mauni santushto yena kenachit aniketa sthira matir bhaktiman me priyo naraha. That is Krishna's words. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. So there are many words coming all at once, and then I know for myself, I sometimes find it difficult to concentrate and remember, because one thing after another. I will read Prabhupada's purport, and then we can talk about it a little bit. A devotee is always free from all bad association. Sometimes one is praised and sometimes one is defamed. That is the nature of human society. But a devotee is always transcendental to artificial fame and infamy, distress or happiness. He is very patient. He does not speak of anything but the topics about Krishna. Therefore he is called silent. Silent does not mean that one should not speak. Silent means that one should not speak nonsense. One should speak only of essentials, and the most essential speech for the devotee is to speak for the sake of the Supreme Lord. Yeah, that's the first word that came out to me also. Mauni, silence. So how are we silenced? We constantly speak. I mean, this is not the only place on the internet where some devotee is speaking about Krishna or singing Krishna's name. So much sound is going on. Yes, but this goes to the essence of existence, of the soul. One who is equal to friends and enemies. What does it mean? Does it mean he doesn't care about anyone? No, it doesn't mean that, but it means a devotee will want to be generous to everyone. Of course, without taking unnecessary risks. You don't want to go out in a dangerous place and maybe get, robbed or beaten or something like that. But there is actually a quality, it comes back again, a devotee is like, what is the word? Yeah, I don't remember the word. But there's a word that his enemy has never been born. Because even if somebody has bad feeling towards the devotee does not have bad feelings to that person. And this is actually, it's quite a difficult level, because, who doesn't get happy when you're in company of good friends, and who doesn't get hurt if somebody treats you bad. This is human. But being a devotee, means you're not human anymore. That's not at all what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is it elevates you from the bodily identification. So generally being treated well or treated bad is a question of respect and disrespect, has to do with the body. And if you no longer identify with that body, it doesn't have any power to touch you or to hurt you. And a devotee then doesn't just, okay, no one's going to hurt me, I'm going to withdraw and shut myself off and everything. No, a devotee has open, loving, vulnerable relationships with other devotees that he can trust. But with people in general, the devotee wants to be very available, want to be able to show the example and share whatever you have of Krishna consciousness. And if somebody is actively harmful or dangerous, okay, you can avoid them, but you don't get caught up in this person likes me, that person doesn't like me, and therefore they're probably really bad. That is not the mentality of this kind of devotee that Krishna is speaking about here. A devotee is happy in all conditions. Sometimes he may get very palatable foodstuffs, sometimes not, but he's satisfied. Nor does he care for any residential facility. He may sometimes live underneath a tree, and he may sometimes live in a very palatial building. He's attracted to neither. He's called fixed because he's fixed in his determination and knowledge. It's also like Prabhupada established this Krishna consciousness movement, and now, and also in the later years, he could travel to any country, in practically any city. There would be a temple there where devotees would receive him and give him the best of facilities. But in the beginning he had nothing. When they went to... in India we spoke about earlier about Vrindavan, the place where Krishna was born, or appeared rather. Krishna is God, he's not born like we, forced to take birth, which is quite a painful situation. But he appears in the family of his devotees in a reciprocation of love. So he appeared in Vrindavan, but then 500 years ago we had Lord Chaitanya appearing, and he appeared in Mayapur, in Navadvip, in West Bengal, what is today called West Bengal. And Prabhupada very much wanted to establish a temple there. And it was a little bit of a struggle, because you have to get land and you have to get permit to build, and you have to make it happen. And in the very early days, they had gotten some land and they had some plans, but there were no buildings yet. So they set up like a very simple structure. You could call it a hut, or you could call it a very small house, but it was very simple. And it's still there today, Prabhupada's original house. And he was completely satisfied. And he said, and the devotees who were there with him, they sometimes speak about that time as the best time. They didn't have indoor plumbing or, proper walls, so you'd get mosquitoes, you get all kinds of difficulties. But it was such a special time because you come so close to Prabhupada when you are under these circumstances, and the holy place in itself is a simple place. It is possible to appreciate the atmosphere of the holy place, maybe even better when you live in a simple way. But Prabhupada said he was completely satisfied in that situation, but the reason he established this holy place was not so that he could go there and enjoy the spiritual atmosphere of the place. It was so that he could share it with the rest of us. And if his Western disciples were going to be able to come there in larger numbers, they would not be able to live in a hut and bring a bucket for a bath or going down to the Ganges that flows nearby. There would have to be some buildings, some plumbing, some organization. So it's not that Prabhupada was happy or unhappy. He came there, he established a place, and he wanted to make it so that everyone could come to Mayapur. Of course now it's even bigger. It's even bigger. When we have the biggest festival, which is Gaur Purnim, which is the appearance day of Lord Chaitanya, usually happens between February and March, something like that. It's a moon calendar, so it changes. You can get 1 million pilgrims. So even the buildings we have now are not enough, and now we're still building. Actually, we have started building the temple in Mayapur, the what is it called? The Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. You can find it on the internet. So the building is ready. They are now making it, covering it with marble on the outside and creating the rooms and the temples and the facilities on the inside, so that we'll be able to accommodate the millions of pilgrims turning up in the place. So that's a devotee, like we were saying earlier. It's not that it's that the devotee doesn't strive for anything, doesn't have any desires, not for himself but for Krishna, not for himself but for everybody in this world that are out of touch with Krishna. So so that's especially in the beginning in India. Prabhupada would travel, and sometimes it'd be very simple, and sometimes they'd be invited to actual palaces. And in either position, he would chant Krishna's name, he would speak about Krishna, and he would encourage others to take the Krishna consciousness in whatever situation. It would not affect him. He's called fixed because he's fixed in his determination and knowledge. We may find some repetition in the descriptions of the qualifications of a devotee, but this is just to emphasize the fact that a devotee must acquire all these qualifications. Without good qualifications, one cannot be a pure devotee. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahad guna. One who is not a devotee has no good qualifications. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications. Of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire this qualification, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them. Yeah. So we were hearing that a devotee doesn't strive, doesn't have goals, but actually there is this one goal. You want to please Krishna. And how do we please Krishna? Well, Krishna says, by being his devotees, this kind of devotee that is not held back and pulled down by his material qualifications and especially identifications, attachment in this material world. So that is the main work of a devotee, to become realistic. We have this process of devotional service, and it is described as Adau Shraddha. At first, we need to have a little faith. We need to look at devotional service and think, this is worthwhile. This is something I should actually try for. Adau Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, then you come in contact and you take association from devotees of a similar mindset, devotees who are already engaged in Krishna service. Then bhajana kriya, which literally means bhajana, doing your worship, your process of devotional service, and kriya means activities, so you do devotional service. And Prabhupada often translates it as taking initiation from the spiritual master, because that starts our devotional service. Under the guidance of the spiritual master, we are able to pick up our activities of bhakti yoga, of devotional service. And then the next step is anartha nivritti, which means to give up that which is useless. Artha means value, that which is valuable. Anartha means that which isn't valuable. Anartha nivritti means that we are giving it up. And you'd think that, you could just get a list at the door, and we do get some sort of a list, chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, give up meat eating, meat, fish and eggs, give up intoxication, give up gambling, give up illicit sex. Yeah, that's a very basic list. But gradually, we have to be a little honest and introspective and look into our own hearts and see what is holding me back. Is it pride? Is it anger? Is it lust? Is it fear? And why do I have this? Mostly because of identification with these material bodies, and because of desires to enjoy and control separate from Krishna, which will manifest differently depending on our our mind and senses, our present condition. So we have to be a little honest with ourselves. And when I've said this before, when I say we have to, means that is completely voluntary. But if we want to make progress in devotional service and in self-realization, then it is actually required some honest introspection and some sincerity that we can't do it on day one, because on day one we can't even see all of that. It comes as we become more self-aware, as we become more level-headed and clear-minded. They will come up, and then we look at them and say, I don't really need to be so proud of this body and mind or intelligence. I don't need to become angry when somebody else doesn't appreciate me. It's such a waste of time. I don't need to have fear for all these different circumstances. I have been in this material world for a very long time. I have been living in a precarious position, identifying this body that could die at any moment. But now I actually know that Krishna is in control, and if I can take shelter of his internal energy, nothing can really touch me. The body will still die, obviously. All bodies die. But this fear, Prabhupada actually said, one fear is healthy to have, the fear of forgetting Krishna and falling into illusion again. That's okay. But that is not the kind of fear that creates a disturbance in your life. So many of these things. And we are individuals. We come a little bit from different angles, and we will have different challenges in our devotional life. But that is anartha nivritti. And the result of anartha nivritti is, it actually means I am sincerely trying to grow in Krishna consciousness, to be able to please Krishna, to please my spiritual master, to assist Prabhupada in representing Krishna consciousness. Therefore, I can honestly say that I lack some of these qualities. Therefore, I will make it my own responsibility to be careful about my personal development. And Prabhupada says, of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualities. It's not that I'm training myself up. I'm not going to be proud. I'm not going to be angry. That's not where it comes from. It comes from being a little introspective, and especially from developing the desire to please Krishna. Because then it will naturally fall into place. But it's not, it's not automatic. It's not that you press the button and then bam, you are there. You're a person, you're responsible for your own life, and in Krishna consciousness, you try your best to apply yourself. And then Krishna says, such a person is very dear to me. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.